Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Vols on SI YouTube channel. I am joined by one of our, I guess you could say, colleagues over on the On SI network. He covers for the Alabama Crimson Tide. This is Joe Gaither. Well, Mr. Gaither, let them know all about you and, where they can find you.
Well, they can find all our stuff at BamaCentral.com. Yep, as you said, we are Alabama Crimson Tide on SI. I host the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central. It's a 5 times a week podcast on the Bama Central YouTube channel and everywhere that you get your podcast. So appreciate your time and thanks for having me. Let's have a lot of fun.
Yes, sir. Let's do it. So we're going to just jump right into the conversation. I know fans are probably eager to learn more about the Alabama Crimson Tide and the Tennessee Volunteers in this one. So, a big thing and a big headline for the Alabama Crimson Tide is Jam Miller and his injury that, the concussion that he suffered against Missouri and things of that nature. So how much of an anticipation is there right now that, he's going to play in this one?
On the Wednesday night availability report, he was listed as questionable, and I expect another one to come out here fairly soon. I don't know if he's going to move off of questionable until maybe Friday's report. So we'll see if he can get to a probable state. But he took a pretty nice little shot in the Missouri game, and given kind of the way that the doctors and everybody treats concussions at this point, I won't say that I'll be surprised if he plays, but I do think that he'll be limited just in the sense that he probably hasn't he practiced yesterday. He was in a black uniform, black non-contact uniform on Wednesday's practice. So he is participating in practice, but I would just wonder if they're going to go the precautionary route with Jam and put the game on Daniel Hill and Kevin Riley and Richard Young's shoulders.
Yeah, and see that's been another big headline. You got Jam Miller on the injury report. You got Deshaun Bishop. I would definitely say right now it seems like Deshaun Bishop's on the better side of things when it comes to playing. So I was very interested in Jam Miller because how big of an impact, if he plays in this game, do you think he would have for the Alabama offense against this Tennessee defense?
I think he has a pretty big impact if he's able to play. We saw him. We saw Alabama's offense for a couple of weeks without him to start the season, missing the Florida State, the Wisconsin, and ULM game, but coming back and playing in the Georgia game, and he was pretty impactful. Now, Alabama's offensive line hasn't been great in run blocking this season. It has been improving really since the Georgia game. It started to improve, but I think Jam is a big part of that with his vision. I don't necessarily think that Jam is a special running back when the football is in his hands, just as far as speed and breaking tackle ability. But I do like his vision and decision making a lot. Jam also is Alabama's best pass protector, so you want those factors in the game. You want somebody who's going to be able to read the defensive track and find the holes and be able to make the most out of the rushing plays, particularly if the offensive line isn't great at opening up holes. So you want the running backs to take the best path. I think Jam is his impact on this game is pretty high. But last week they got Daniel Hill involved a little bit after Jam went out with his concussion, and I think Daniel Hill played pretty well. I think that he's going to have he had some plays that maybe he's going to want back, but played pretty well. Kevin Riley has operated as kind of the two most of the season, kind of the change of pace back, Tuscaloosa County High product. He's been pretty good as kind of a shifty running back. When he's been able to find holes, he can squirt right through them. He can make himself skinny and squirt right through them. So there are other running backs who can handle the rushing load, but I do think you'll miss Jam's impact in pass protection. So against a defense that's leading the SEC in sacks, you do want Jam out there if he can clear concussion protocol.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I definitely think he's definitely someone that would help Alabama in this one, just simply based off the fact, like, even in pass protection, that's something that we've really, I guess you could say, hit the ball on recently, is just the fact that Tennessee rushes to the quarterback very well. Their edge rushers are very good, and that's definitely something that really catches the eye of many. So, around this time last year, me and you held a conversation where we were talking about Ryan Williams, and he's someone that really steps up and steps up in a major way. Well, as of recently, there's been a lot of headlines that maybe he hasn't had the production that many have anticipated him to have, especially when you look at a guy like Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State, someone he's been compared to very frequently. So, even though he hasn't necessarily stepped up in this fantastic way that everyone anticipates, this wide receiver core for the Alabama Crimson Tide has stepped up overall. So, how would you go about talking about something like that, as Ryan Williams isn't necessarily the hottest wide receiver in the nation right now, but at the same time, you can make a case that Alabama's wide receiver core is at the top?
Yeah, Alabama's receiver core is really, really elite, and I could argue that it's the best receiving core in the nation when you can factor in Jeremy, Isaiah Horton, and Ryan Williams. And I agree, Ryan has not had a great year, but he's had some impactful moments. I mean, he was in the Wisconsin game, caught 2 touchdown passes, should have had a third. He struggled with drops this season, which may be attributed to an adverse reaction to contact, or just a lack of focus, just a little bit of lack of focus. And that's been a pretty big subject over the course of the season. Now, against Missouri, he didn't have a single catch, but I think he was playing a decoy role because he was still kind of dealing with a little injury from the Vanderbilt game. And so what he did was draw coverage away from Jeremy Bernard and Isaiah Horton. And really, Missouri did a very strong job defending the trio. You got to give them a lot of credit for the way that they defended the trio, despite Isaiah Horton still catching a touchdown pass. They really kind of played kind of deep to kind of keep everything in front of them, and Ty Simpson was able to utilize Josh Cuevas and other tight ends and running backs in the passing game to get after him, and Lozier Brooks kind of stepped up as an intermediate player as well. But you're asking about Ryan. I think Ryan is in an okay spot. I mean, when you draw as much attention as he did last season, it's inevitable that some of the pressure, some of the spotlight might get to you just a little bit. And I think that's kind of what's happened to Ryan just a little bit, but he's still a great player. He's still a player that's extremely dangerous with the football in his hands when he catches it. So this coming Saturday, I think Tennessee's defense has a lot of opportunities for Ryan Williams to make big plays. I mean, they're Tennessee last in the SEC in passing yards allowed, leaves a lot of opportunities right there for a guy like Ryan Williams to maybe kickstart the second half of his season. There's six games gone by. Ryan's done okay. Obviously, had some moments that he's going to want back. But I think the Tennessee secondary offers him maybe a runway to a big second half of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you touched on the trio and stuff like that, which is just going to lead us into our next topic. So over the week, we've seen some comments that was made by Jeremy Bernard where he said they like to play man-to-man and they want to bring the house. So, I mean, it's a great opportunity for our offense. They give up a lot of yards, but that's just because they trust and believe in their guys to get the job done. For us to have the opportunity to go up against that man-to-man defense, it's a field of dreams. That's what those wide receivers want, then man-to-man matchups. It's going to be up to us to go out there and make plays. Do you think this is bulletin board material for a Tennessee defense that's looking for any type of motivation in this game?
Bulletin board for Tennessee, sure. But I mean, how long does that last? One play, get you fired up in warm-ups, get you an extra level of adrenaline in warm-ups. Once the plays start happening, I think the bulletin board material kind of dissipates. And I kind of wonder if Jeremy's been watching the recent tape because, yeah, Tennessee was playing a lot of man-to-man against Georgia. And Georgia was getting wide, getting open, and making easier reads for Gunnar Stockton to decipher the secondary. But the last 2 weeks, Tennessee's mixed in a lot of zone coverage, a lot of cover three, particularly against Arkansas. And so I think that Jeremy might need to keep watching some tape. These comments were made on Tuesday, Alabama's player availability on Tuesday, I believe. And so I do think that even though Tennessee's kind of maybe shifting a little bit to zone coverages, there are still opportunities to make plays for Jeremy Bernard. And look, it's a rivalry game. The winning team is going to be smoking cigars anyways. So there's a lot of juice in the game with or without his comments. I applaud his confidence. I think that, as a wide receiver, you should be looking at a secondary that's last in the conference in passing yards allowed and thinking, yeah, this is exactly what we want. We got to go make some plays. And Jeremy, being a team leader, I think it's good for him to set the tone for the team. But yeah, of course, if I'm Josh Heupel, if I'm Tim Banks, I'm printing these out and I'm putting them in the locker room, thinking that at least putting them in all the lockers of the defensive backs. Thinking, okay, guys, this is your chance to shut these up. I mean, we just talked about the great wide receiver core. If Tennessee's DBs go out there and limit all three of them, two of the three, limit the group, then I think that it serves a big message to the rest of the conference that these guys are starting to turn their seasons around.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess that leads to another question about Bernard. Would you say that he is more likely out of the group of wide receivers, he's the more likely receiver to have a big game in this one, or who would you give that title to?
Oh yeah, I mean, from a consistency standpoint, he's been the most consistent player, probably on both offensive and defensive side of the football all year long. He had a really nice game against Florida State, and he's really had strong games throughout. Now, this past game against Missouri, I think it was only 2 receptions for him, and like I said, the Missouri defense did do a pretty good job limiting the wide receiver core. But let's see, most likely. I mean, Ryan could go nuclear at any point, but I think that Jeremy is the most consistent player in the wide receiver room. And Lozia Brooks, 17, the young true freshman, has started to really come on. So if the secondary spends all its time focusing on Ryan, Jeremy, and Isaiah, you can look for Lozia Brooks to really have a big game.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you talked about a little bit of the offense and defensive side, and he's a guy that's really been consistent. But who in specific, both, and we'll start on offense, and then you can move to defense if you want in the same topic. But who on both sides of the ball do you really think needs to step up in this game? Whether it's they've already been doing good and they just need to continue, or they just need to take that extra step in this game for Alabama to have the best chances of winning.
Well, if I'm Alabama, I'm looking at both the right and left tackles for this game. And Alabama's right tackle situation's been interesting to watch. But left tackle Caden Proctor, he's marketed as a first-round draft pick. He had an okay game against Missouri, but Missouri still kind of got after him a little bit. They've got some great edge rushers. At right tackle, Wilkin Formby has played right tackle most of the year, while Michael Carroll, true freshman 5-star from IMG, has kind of subbed in for him throughout the year. There's kind of been whispers that Michael Carroll is taking over the right tackle duties, and you may see that this Saturday. He may be starting. So both the tackles giving Ty Simpson a lot of time, I think, is the key here. If you are able to keep 15 upright, and if Tennessee wants to play big zone coverages like they played against Arkansas, or man-to-man like they played against Georgia, you give Ty Simpson an opportunity to read the defense and deliver the football. I think he'll do that. He's shown that he can do that this season. And so for me, while all the attention's on Ty Simpson and all the attention's on the wide receivers, I think the key for this game for Alabama offensively is the two tackles holding up and giving Simpson enough time. And when they do call running plays, generating enough rush to keep Tennessee's defense honest. I don't think that Alabama's going to be running the football all over the place, but you got to have enough rush to kind of keep things mixed up. So for me, offensively, I'll cheat and take 2, and I'll take the right and left tackle, Caden Proctor, and whoever plays right tackle, whether it be Michael Carroll or Wilkin Formby.
Yeah, so more on the defensive side, if you want to name multiple, like who you think really has to step up over there in specific, like I guess just more into conversation on all 3 phases of the defense.
Well, the defense has been interesting this year, up and down. Obviously, got ran over against Florida State, but it's really stepped up after the Florida State game. and particularly in second halves. You had a second half shutout against Vanderbilt. You really limited Georgia in their second half as well, and Missouri ended up with some garbage. Ended up scoring out of halftime off a turnover, and then late in the game when the game was just a little bit out of reach. I think defensively, you're looking at probably Justin Jefferson again, your inside linebacker, because of the way that Tennessee operates with they're spread out. They'll spread you out and try to run the football down your throat. And if Deshaun Bishop is healthy, and really he doesn't have to be healthy, you've got other running backs in the Tennessee running back room that can get after you. I think Justin Jefferson finding the right gaps and playing the right gaps is a huge factor in this game. He ended up with 14 tackles against Vanderbilt, but Alabama gave up a huge 60, 70-yard touchdown run on the very first drive to Vanderbilt. If Tennessee's able to run the football and stay honest, or really keep Alabama's defense honest, stay balanced offensively for Tennessee by running the football, then I think it takes pressure off Joey Aguilar and allows him to kind of get after the secondary. And so Justin Jefferson, I think, winning on early downs, helping the front stop the running game is going to be really huge for Alabama's defense.
Yeah, and I guess my final question to you is just at this point in the moment in thinking, who do you have winning? What's the score and why?
I think Alabama's going to win because I don't think that Tennessee's defense is going to be able to create enough havoc plays. They created a lot of havoc plays against Arkansas, 3-4 turnovers, and they had 2 defensive scores against Mississippi State. I think that their defense is going to struggle to create those havoc plays. They might get to Ty Simpson and sack him a couple times. But I do think that he'll be able to protect the football and give their defense, punt the football away if it's fourth down or whatnot, and give the defense a long field to defend. Now, I do like Tennessee's offense a lot. I think Tennessee has a lot of pieces offensively, and can play pretty balanced offensively. And their tempo is very difficult to deal with. But over the course of the game, I think that Alabama's defense will generate enough stops to give the ball back to Alabama's offense, and Alabama's offense will play with consistency and will avoid the detrimental mistakes that Arkansas and Mississippi State made. And the home crowd is just going to be electric. At 6:30 kickoff, it's going to be really loud in Bryant-Denny Stadium. It's going to probably be the best atmosphere of the year right there in Bryant-Denny Stadium. And I just think that Alabama is going to be able to pull away in the second half, and I think probably cover this 8.5 point spread. Not by a ton, but cover it for the gamblers.
Yes, sir. And just to close it out, make sure you go check out Joe and everything that he does. Joe, you want to tell him where to find you again?
Absolutely. We're at BamaCentral.com, Alabama Crimson Tide on SI. We've got a lot of great writers. We'll be in Bryant-Denny Stadium on Saturday night. And you can find me on the Bama Central YouTube channel. You can find me wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, Spotify, The Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central.
Awesome, and thank you for coming on. And as for our followers, you can find us anywhere within our links in the bio. And you can personally find me on X at @CalebSisk_ as we give you daily Tennessee coverage. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time.